Let's talk some sports, baby.
And then remember, make tomorrow better than today and make today better than yesterday. And you know what we gonna do. We gonna holler at you until next time, baby.
While the NBA draft was ongoing, it was sandwiched right between the flurry of trades to start the week and free agency, which officially begun on Friday. The offseason is now in full swing, and if you thought COVID might put a damper on offseason moves, well, sorry to disappoint you. Some big contracts are signed, and plenty of trades have occurred so far. Some teams are pushing to contend now. Others, like Oklahoma City, for example, are loading up on assets. So, Jay, let's go ahead and get to it. What stands out to you so far in this free agency period?
I think there's a whole lot going on in what seems to be a condensed amount of time. I would say right off the bat, and the Lakers seem to be doing quite well for themselves right now. You look at Montrezl Harrell, they're able to pull him from the Clippers. Remember, and if you recall last season, I was of the mindset that for the most part, the Clippers front office really did a fantastic job. They seem to always be one step ahead of the Lakers. And their roster, even though it didn't end up resulting in a championship, it looked like the front office did as good a job as they could have done and really put all the requisite pieces in play. Now, whatever occurred due to chemistry, injuries, kind of out of their hands. But as far as just accumulating talent, they did a fantastic job. This year, it doesn't appear that that's going to be the case right now. The Lakers are able to get Montrezl Harrell. The Lakers also able to pull a trade for Dennis Schroeder. So really, when you look at that, well, what does that mean? Well, the Lakers last season, even into the playoffs, their depth was always a concern. And now what you have is you're able to get two of the three six-man of the year finalists in the span of 1 or 2 days. So what was a concern most of last year is now a strength, assuming they both remain in bench roles. And more to that, really, they got Montrezl Harrell for what seems to be a reasonable price, considering, the reigning six-man of the year and considering his regular season success. You would have thought pre-coronavirus he was going to demand a significantly bigger deal than that. But we know in the playoffs, he kind of disappeared, and it was really a major factor in the Clippers and kind of the Los Angeles Clippers' demise. But the Lakers get him on a bargain. I think he's gonna he's gonna have a big impact for the Lakers. And then you look at Schroeder, he can have just as big of an impact, because what I was always concerned about last season is who would be that secondary ball handler for them. We always pointed to Rajon Rondo by default, because really none of those other guards, whether it be Danny Green, whether it be Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Alex Caruso, even, you just really didn't look at any of those guys and say, well, when LeBron goes to the bench, who do you want to initiate an offense? Now you have that guy. Dennis Schroeder can do that. He's improved dramatically throughout his career. Used to be a guy that you look at him you want to play off him because he's so adept and quick at getting to the basket. He's a much improved three-point shooter now. He's got a much better all-around game. Those two moves, there's a lot to like there. And oh, by the way, I can't, and not trying to kill him today, but they got rid of what I like to call dead weight Danny Green. Don't have to worry about him weighing them down and just clanging threes all over the place.
Listen, hold on. Before we beat up on Danny Green, here's the deal. Danny Green might come up short sometimes, but let me tell you what, his career is going to be off the chain. This dude went from the Spurs to Toronto to the Lakers. Now he's going to end up in Philly, another team that got a chance to make it, far if they do right. Danny Green is the GOAT when it comes to sandbagging and coattail riding. So whatever you want to say, he is the GOAT.
Great intangibles, huh? Yeah.
Hey, he know what he's doing when it comes to that.
That sounded like a defense. That it just.
Yeah. I really like what the Lakers are doing. Then there's a couple others. There's one where I'm kind of confused, it seems like they're doing a whole lot. I really don't know what it adds up to, and that'd be the Pelicans. The Pelicans get rid of Jrue Holiday in that deal with Milwaukee. They get Eric Bledsoe and George Hill back in return. So it seems like that point guard room is going to be a bit crowded. Like, what are you going to do with all these guys? You got George Hill, Eric Bledsoe, and now you got Lonzo Ball. I've been told he's been improving throughout his career. Still only 22 years of age in that respect. But it just and then also you've got Steven Adams in the fray as well. I just wonder what it's all going to look like. I think I don't want to draw any conclusions, but it just remains to be seen how that's going to look. And then the last one, this one that really just I'm confused, but I'm confused in a way that I'm saying this just looks terrible. I don't know what the Detroit Pistons are doing. I don't know if they noticed what happened to Philly last season with loading up on all the 6'10" and taller guys. I guess what Detroit thought is that Philly didn't try hard enough. They should have got even more big fellas. I'm looking at Tony Bradley from Utah. I'm looking at Dwayne Dedman. I'm looking at who else we got here. We got Mason Plumlee, Jahlil Okafor. You can even throw Josh Jackson in there because he can't shoot. And you've already got Blake Griffin on the roster, so they did Jeremy Grant even. I mean, he can shoot the ball, but he's still a front court player. I mean, I just look at them and like, what are they going to do for a backcourt? Even though they bring in DeLon Wright, I just look at that and I look at 4 centers. They got 4 centers on the roster, and Andre Drummond isn't one of them. So you look, they got some. All those guys are kind of middling players. I don't think you want any of them to start. So I just don't know what that is, but I think it all adds up to them being pretty mediocre in the upcoming season.
It all adds up to them being the Detroit Pistons. Like, just call it what it is. Like, it's not a head scratcher. They're gonna be who they are, the Detroit Pistons, somewhere close to the bottom. Here's the deal, though. To your point you was making about the Lakers and the Clippers, my, how the tables have turned. With that said, you know what it is. The Lakers, they came out the box. Rob Pelinka that made those moves. Not to say Jerry West is not going to make moves, because I have the utmost confidence in what they do for the Clippers. But right now, the Lakers seem to have a stronger grasp on the free agency, and they seem to be in a better place to upgrade their rosters for the players that they're losing and then the players that they're bringing in. So Rob Pelinka, keep up the good job. You know what it is. I'm going to roll with my boys again this year. As long as King James and AD running that ship, I'm on it. I'm on it. Let's just not get the coronavirus on the ship. Either way, I like what they're doing in the city of LA. But here's the deal. This is what I tend to focus on. In a year with COVID, we heard that the salary caps was going down. I thought the teams was going to be a little more frivolous with their money, meaning in the NBA, we're used to seeing, stars or whatever the category is, under stars, just the regular Joe getting paid, getting overpaid. But I thought this year would be a little different. I thought you had to come out here, really have made a name for yourself, or really have done something in the NBA to get the money you would get due to COVID costing the NBA so much money as far as revenue go. So, and Cody told us show after show, the NBA cap is going down. They won't have the same amount of money that they're usually accustomed to, and it usually goes up every year. So you can give, John Doe 5 years, $170 million and be all right, because you can make that money back. But, I stand corrected. It seems like this year was just like any other year. Let's go out here and get a toe tag and let's pay him the maximum contract. What I mean by that, let's jump into some of these guys. Marcus Morris, 4 years, $64 million. I understand the Clippers ain't do a whole lot in the free agency this year, but that ain't it. I'm sorry. I didn't see 4 years, $64 million out of Marcus Morris this year. I might be wrong, but I didn't see it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Slap me with those stats. Joe Harris re-signed with Brooklyn. 4 years, $75 million. Here's why I'm a little perplexed with that re-signing. Here we are. We just was talking about last show, James Harden possibly coming in. You got to tighten up the belt. You got to make some things shake. You got to move some pieces around. Is this the next way of saying we're not worried about James Harden? He can go somewhere else. We're not trying to clear the house for him. It seems to be that way when you pay a guy like Joe Harris $75 million for 4 years. You seem to be confident in what you have to sign him to that, and you're probably just going to move forward with the team you have. If that's the case, then so be it. But I don't want to hear no more James Harden talk or anybody else coming in when you signing Joe Harris. Yes, Joe Harris is a nice player. Yes, he won the three-point competition. Yes, he's in the tops of three-point making. It hasn't equated to nothing. Now, this is the year I want to see if all this Joe Harris talk that I hear about three-point shooting equates to something. Because now you're going to get the spotlight. Brooklyn they're going to be on TV a lot this year. You should get to the postseason where you get the opportunity to make big shots under the brightest lights. Not making big shots as the low-tier team of the matchup, and, people don't care. This year they're going to care. Let's see if that contract is worth it. I'm looking at Gallinari, 3 years, $61 million. Yeah, he's been cool. I don't know if he's been $61.5 cool for 3 years. I'm sorry. I don't know. Atlanta just out here, they're just giving away money right now, and they got to. They got to find Trae Young somebody he can play with. You got to, you got to breed a post into that franchise, because let's be real right now. Being a Atlanta fan of any sport is very hurtful right now. The whole city is going down in flames when it comes to the sports world. So you're trying to pump some type of positivity, some type of optimism into that market. Here we go. Let's see how that goes. Oh, Malik Beasley, 4 years, $60 million to Minnesota, because you gave up, you got him and you gave up a draft pick. I got all that, but what the hell has Malik Beasley done? Have I missed this miraculous season he had? I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't remember it. And then we seen what happened with old Bondon, two first names with the itch. We seen what happened with him. That trade fell through for Milwaukee. I guess he didn't like the contract, what they was trying to do to sign and trade. He betted on himself, which I'm not totally mad at, because that guy, he had played well enough to bet on himself, and he did. He went to the Hawks. He got a better contract. I'm not mad at it. And then, like we seen Gordon Hayward, at some point, he probably would not be wearing a Boston Celtics uniform this year. He'll be going somewhere else. It looked like Indiana is the lead suitor for him right now. So that's kind of what stuck out to me, was the money that was spent from these teams, knowing that they did not make as much money due to COVID. And so it was a shocker for me. Overall, I did see a lot of teams get better. Jay said it. I thought the Lakers got better. I thought Milwaukee was on their way to getting better. Then it kind of got a pit stop. We'll see how that turns out. And then you got a couple of other contenders that got better. So that was my overall takeaway from the trade so far.
Yeah, it's been a ridiculously busy offseason. I mean, my God, when this started, it has been full throttle. It has been impossible to keep up. There's been guys I think Trevor Ariza has been traded 4 times now. It's insane. I would just be I just tell my agent, just call me when you know where I'm going, and don't pick up the phone. I'm sick of this. Yeah, a couple storylines, no particular order. I think the Bucks thing was a big deal. Right after we did that show, a day or two later, it came out that, hey, that trade is not happening as expected. And it did have something to do with the sign and trade and the money involved. I think Bogdanovich could get more money as a unrestricted free agent. He said, I just want to get paid. I don't really care where I go. Hence why, he went where he did. But I think it's interesting he would take more money instead of going to a legit contender that the Milwaukee Bucks would have been with his services. But hey, I mean, get paid to get paid, But I think that was interesting. And now the other trade with Drew Holiday has actually opened up a little bit. And now Steven Adams is involved, and the Denver Nuggets are involved with draft picks. So Adams is heading to New Orleans, and the the Nuggets have picks in there somewhere. I'm not sure how it all works out, but it's like a 4-team like mega trade now. It's insane, but it does give Milwaukee some additional flexibility, that they didn't really have before. They can sign a couple guys now. They can do some things they couldn't have done before with Bogdanovich on the roster, but it does hurt because that was a really good player they were going to get. A couple other notes. I like what the Blazers are doing. Probably not going to win the whole thing for them. But they're still trying. They're still trying with the C.J. McCollum, Damian Lillard sort of deal. They brought in Derrick Jones. They re-signed Rodney Hood. They traded for Robert Covington. You got Nurkic back. You get healthy. You can maybe still re-sign Carmelo. I mean, I can appreciate that they're still making this try to work. I don't know if it's going to, but hey, if they're not going to trade one of those guys, at least they're making a concerted effort to try to get the roster better around them instead of just.
Let me hold on. Let me get let me jump back in here, right? Because this situation kind of chaps my rear end. And here's the deal, because Little and CJ McCollum been running around here flopping around for year after year, right? And then you got Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and we done brought the house down on these two cats. That's significantly younger than that duo over there, and they've been flopping around. They Leonard and McCullough is the equivalent of Wall and Bill. East and West. It's the equivalent. And now we got. Hear me out. I'm just talking about they've been there forever, and you have not maximized your results. That's what I mean. I'm not talking about, individual accolades or whatever the case might be, but you spent a lot of money on these duos and you ain't got anything back yet. And now we got Cody out here giving them the last breathe, saying, "Well, I appreciate them keeping it together and
Since
trying."
They're not going to blow it up, which they've said they're not going to do. So
I'm
not saying it's the right decision.
We're going to appreciate these efforts. Bring up Nurkic again and watch Jay face. How many times are we gonna bring this up? And like I'm just sick of hearing about the loyalty of CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard.
I'm just saying, if you ain't gonna blow it up, at least they're doing something. They're not just gonna hang out, And they made a conference finals 2 years ago. Maybe there's something there.
Can I just say I do agree. I do agree though with Cody. I do. I like the effort. I like the Covington deal. I think you get Rodney Hood back. I mean, that's good. I think the disappointing thing about Portland, and it goes back to last year, what the hell took you so long to make a run for the playoffs? You needed a pandemic shutdown to breathe some life back in your franchise. And I was like, oh, here come the Blazers. That patented run we've been waiting for. Oh, Nurkic is back. Nurkic came back after the coronavirus, and he looking somewhat, respectable. Yep. Oh my Lord! But yeah, I think you talk about that Bradley Beal John Wall comparison kind of appropriate. I think though when you look at Lillard and McCollum compared to maybe those guys and Embiid and Simmons, I think the difference is I think Lillard's on that he's on that level. He's probably a fringe MVP type candidate. I don't. When I look at McCollum though, in relation to those other number two options, I don't really see the same star talent for him. To me, he's a scorer, and a really good one at that. We've seen him make some real clutch shots in his career. But outside of that, I don't think he has the same impact as some of those other guys.
Yeah, so a couple other quick notes here down the line. We have, speaking of John Wall, though he's demanded a trade out of Washington because I guess they wanted to build around Bradley Beal. I mean, John Wall hadn't played since December of 2018, but I guess they should have waited, for him. So I'm not sure what that's all about. So a lot of people think there's going to be a Russell Westbrook, John Wall contract swap. We'll see how that plays out. Gordon Hayward, not expected to re-sign with the Celtics now. A sign and trade's being explored. They think maybe he's going to go to Indiana in a sign and trade, and possibly Miles Turner comes back to the Boston Celtics, which that'd be a nice pickup for them, and maybe some other guys. I think Ainge wants Oladipo and Turner, and the Pacers probably just laughed and hung the phone up. But we know how that goes. I'm sure he'll probably want him getting who he wants anyway. The Jazz, not really. I don't think they're going to do a whole lot, but I did like the Jordan Clarkson signing. I see him get paid. He's a good player. He got traded over there, and he really, did the thing and kind of kept them going into the playoffs and was a big scoring thing, which they desperately need. The Joe Harris thing, I just think the biggest thing for that is, if you're still wanting to trade for a guy like James Harden, does the money still work? Does that maybe, cramp you a little bit further with being able to fit all those salaries on the books? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And then the last thing I'll leave it with is there are a couple of guys still available. Fred VanVleet has not signed yet. Brandon Ingram has
Which
not
is
signed yet.
surprising. So surprising.
Right. So you got a couple guys kind of waiting out the initial wave and seeing where things shake out, which sometimes is smart. You know, you don't sign with the first team that gets you. You let all the dust settle and you pick your best option. Anthony Davis is as well, but he's coming back to the Lakers most likely. You know, it's just a matter of formalities there. So I wouldn't really count him. But definitely a couple guys still left. So a couple teams that maybe haven't gotten their guy yet, you know, there's still some pretty good players left to get.